I just finished watching Antebellum. I guess I'll just summarize it by what you see in the trailer. So she is, a modern woman, all these accomplishments, has a husband, has a daughter, finds herself somehow back seemingly in the past, and is trying to find her way back home. And so the movie is kind of about how she gets there, how she gets back, if she gets back. So out of 5 stars, I would give the movie 2.9 stars. I literally feel like review bro right now because he gives like the craziest review. Like he reviews fast food, and he will review a sandwich and be like, I'll give this 5.3 stars. That's 5.3 stars. And you're like, wait, how do you get to that? So I'll explain how I get to 2.9 stars. I was gonna give it 3 stars, but I just feel like there was something missing in this movie, so 2.9 stars it is. And now I'll explain why. So there's spoilers ahead. If you haven't seen it, go watch it, come back, let me know if you agree with my review, and give me your thoughts. So the movie opens up on a plantation and the daily life on a plantation. It devolves pretty quickly into some really brutal scenes that are really, really hard to watch. You're seeing this man violently separated from his partner, and she's chased down with an orchestra going in the film score, and she asks the soldier to kill her, and so he shoots her. Her partner hears the shot and is distraught. He knows what probably just happened, and he's knocked unconscious. You see her body being drugged back by a horse. At this point I write humanity is fucked up, because that these are, this is a movie, but that really depraved stuff like this has happened in the history of the country. And so when you're watching the brutality in front of you, it's really hard to watch. Actually, I know that the word antebellum has been in the news. There was that band that dropped the name, and that had its a whole other controversy, I guess. But I really wasn't sure what the word was, and so I searched it, and it came up with because after you see her drugged back by a horse, the title of the movie Antebellum flashes on the screen or comes on the screen, and I just was like, what is this word? What is this title? What does it mean? And so when I searched it, it came up with the status before the American Civil War. So I guess anything, it can refer to anything before the Civil War. I'm kind of a little bit still unclear about it, but that's what I came up with online. So then after that, you see another woman being beaten in a house, and he keeps asking her to say her name, and she won't say it. And then finally he brands her with an iron, and she says that her name is Eden. And right then you can kind of tell that that's not her real name. It must be a name that was given to her because she doesn't want to say it. And then I see that one of the women, I just had to restart this because my phone is full of pictures of my kid, and I need to clear out my phone because I'm not going to be able to record videos anymore if I don't. So, and I forgot there's a recently deleted folder that I didn't delete, so they were still on my phone, and hopefully the camera does not cut off again. So I see a familiar face, Jenna Malone from Donnie Darko and Saved. She plays Elizabeth. So all of the other people being held captive seem to come to Eden for help, and Eden is seemingly broken down and scared because she's just been beaten and branded, and she thinks that now's not the time to try to escape again because she had tried to escape before, and that is why the couple had been made examples of. Then you see that there is a dinner, and there are these captive women around, and it is said that they are there for the soldiers to do with what they will. So one soldier takes a liking to one woman and they go back to her cabin, or he meets her in her cabin, and she thinks that he's a nice guy. She tries to talk to him and see if he will help her, and then suddenly he changes and starts yelling at her, and then he kicks her. Not knowing, or even if he knew, if he would care, she was pregnant. And the next morning she goes out to the field and has a miscarriage, and that is such a sad scene. The man from the beginning, I feel like I only remember the names of the main characters, but the man at the beginning of the movie who is separated from his partner says something to one of the guards, I guess, to distract him from the woman who miscarries. And he, as punishment, is sent to what it looks like, it's like a cremation chamber. And you realize that's where his partner's body was burned. And so he goes in and sees her necklace that is left and puts on her necklace and kind of breaks down at, just everything that's going on and having lost her. So then you are moved to a scene then where Eden is being, having sex forced on her by her captor. And then she wakes up suddenly in present day, and you realize her real name is Veronica. And you see, she's waking from, and this, okay, so this is what is interesting. She wakes up seemingly from a bad dream. I think her husband even says something about her having a bad dream. So you start to think that it's some kind of time jump, or she actually does go back in time, and somehow when she sleeps or at certain points there's a glitch or something where she goes back to the future, to her real life. So you're kind of unsure what's going on at that point, but you're kind of going through her life and realizing who she is. And so she has a husband, she has a daughter, she has a PhD in American constitutional history, she's an activist, a sociologist, and author. And so at home she takes a video call from a woman that you'll recognize. She is the woman that you see in the past on the plantation. In present day, her name is Elizabeth, and she's calling Veronica. Veronica's unsure about what she wants. She thinks she's calling about the book, but Elizabeth is kind of giving her crap about her peddling her book during one of her interviews, even though it was relevant to what they were talking about. So she referenced her book because this is her field, this is her area of expertise. And so Veronica's really unsettled by the conversation that she has with Elizabeth. And so Elizabeth is I'm sorry, or not Elizabeth, Veronica's I'm sorry, what is this about? Are you a headhunter? Kind of thinking that she's being, contacted about some, maybe a speaking engagement or something. And Elizabeth kind of menacingly says, yes, you can call me a headhunter of sorts, or something like that. And during the phone call, Elizabeth comments on the color of Veronica's lipstick and how it suits her. And Veronica is so unsettled by the phone call that afterwards she wipes the lipstick off. You see Veronica getting ready to go on a business trip because she's speaking at a convention. And while at the hotel, she does yoga, she does her convention, she meets with her friends, has a good time. While she's out, Elizabeth finds out where she's staying and cons a housekeeper into thinking that she has misplaced her key to let her into Veronica's room. And Elizabeth goes and uses her bathroom and finds the lipstick and puts on the lipstick. And at that point I'm thinking, okay, she's searching for something to do some kind of this is a flashback. This is before Veronica is transported back to the past. I'm thinking, okay, she must need a personal item of Veronica's to make this happen. That's why she's in her hotel room. Veronica, before she gets ready to go out with her friends, after Elizabeth has been in her room, she goes back up to her room and finds a creepy girl in the elevator which I don't know if it's Elizabeth's daughter. I mean, seemingly she is, but I don't really know what she's there for other than like just some creepy atmosphere, some creepy effect. But she really creeps out Veronica in the elevator, and they get off on the same floor. And as Veronica goes into her room, the little girl just stands at the end of the hallway, Shining style, and watches Veronica go into her room. Veronica goes down the town with two of her friends, decides she needs to go back home or go back to the hotel. She's got to go back home to see her daughter. And she makes a mistake of, I guess a mistake that a lot of people make when they've been out is she gets in the wrong car. She thinks she's in her Uber, but actually she gets a call from her Uber driver and she's like, no, I'm in my Uber. There's a mistake. And then she realizes that Elizabeth is driving the car, and then she gets grabbed from behind and knocked out. So we go back to the past, or Antebellum, and you see that Veronica's captor has a cell phone. He goes out after he's raped her, basically, and he is keeping a cell phone on the, what is that called? The thing you put on the horse to ride it? Saddle? And then you realize, okay, somehow they're actually in modern day, I guess. And he's talking to somebody on the phone, basically saying, you know, I'm never going to give her back. And they're talking about, on the other end of the phone, about how her husband and her daughter on the news are searching for her, and they're not going to stop searching for her. She goes back. Okay, so she overhears this conversation, then she quietly gets back into bed, and then he comes in. And then you cut to the next day where they're out in the field, and the guard is saying that the newer woman, you know, she had her chance to be late. She can't be late again today. And he sends Veronica to go get her. This is the woman that had the miscarriage, and Veronica finds her hung in her cabin because she just couldn't hold on any longer, and she ends it. And Veronica is distraught, and she says to the man from the beginning who lost his partner, she says, we're leaving tonight, this ends tonight. And then while they're in the field, they also see a modern airplane overhead. So this just further makes you think, okay, how are they holding all these people? Where are they? If they're in present day. I wrote down, after they see the plane overhead, I write, is this a glitch? Like, I still don't understand, like, if somehow she has been transported back and there's a glitch in the game and the system somehow to where she's able to see through to present day in the past while still in the past. So at this point, I'm still a little bit confused. I don't really know where she is and how they're making all this happen. During this time, while Veronica has been held captive, she's been oiling the door in her cabin. She's been memorizing the creaks in the floor, where to step so that she doesn't make noise, so she can eventually escape. As she goes to meet her escape partner, Veronica, as Veronica leaves to find her escape partner, they find each other and they get to her captor's cell phone and they try to use it to call 911. She's actually able to call out to 911, but I guess she can't send her location. So this further enforces, okay, they're in present day. Because otherwise, how is she making a call to 911? So, but they drop the phone, and then two of the soldiers from the beginning, when you see them in the dinner, and the guy that kicks the woman and makes her miscarry her baby, these two guys are drunk, walking out at night. They come across a cell phone and they're like, is this yours? No, is it yours? We're not allowed to have cell phones. So it shows that they're also present day men participating in some sick game, but they just laugh it off. And they still have the cell phone on them, or at least one of them do. So they knock out the guy who has the cell phone, Veronica and her escape partner. And they get back to the cabin and they have a fight with their captor. Unfortunately, Veronica's escape partner doesn't make it, but she's able to subdue her captor. Like, she stabbed him and like incapacitated him basically, and was able to get his face to do the face recognition for the phone. so that she can unlock the phone, call her husband, send her location so that they could get help to wherever she is, because she doesn't know where she is. So she pulls her captor back out to the incinerator, and she's caught when she goes to get the torch, but she acts like he's been hurt and tries to get these men to go help him. So she leads them into the incinerator, pushes them in and locks them in and burns them up. And there's this scene of her walking away from the incinerator, just enraged and hopeful for escape and carrying the torch. And it's a really interesting and it is a powerful scene. It makes you root for her, and you think, yeah, like I would do the same thing too. Like they deserved what they got. So she puts on one of the soldiers' jackets, gets on a horse, and starts riding away. But she's pursued by one man who gets taken out. And then Elizabeth is also on her trail. And as she's trying to catch up to Veronica, she suddenly stops because she's lost her, but she knows that she's still in the vicinity. So she says, she kind of like gives more information into who brought her there and everything. And Elizabeth says that it wasn't her idea to bring Veronica. Basically, she knew Veronica was going to make trouble or would be looked for. She was too high profile, but her dad, who I guess was her captor, really wanted Veronica. So Veronica and Elizabeth get into this, this battle, and Veronica eventually gets Elizabeth in a noose and pulls her along with a horse, and she eventually flies off and I assume breaks her neck on a statue. So as Veronica's making her way out of this nightmare scenario, she's going slow motion through there's a slow motion scene, I should say, through this, what I wrote down as a mock war. And she's passing these no cell phone signs and these no trespassing signs. And then you see, as she makes her way out, there's people like tourists walking up, and you see a sign that says Civil War Reenactment Park. It's called Antebellum, and she's in Louisiana. It almost felt like, I've never seen The Village by M. Night Shyamalan, but I know what it's about. It almost felt like an M. Night Shyamalan ending, because you're made to believe you're in this place, maybe in a different time, but all the while you're in present day, and it's present day around you, and you don't know because you're kept in the dark. And that almost makes me want to actually watch that movie. But I actually legit thought that they were somehow, I thought this was like gonna be a sci-fi psychological thriller horror movie about, like, they actually did go back in time and there were glitches and there was a way for her to get back to present day. I didn't think, the ending almost seemed too easy, almost seemed like a cop-out, like it had been done. It was a little bit disappointing. I feel like the beginning of the movie really, really drug on with the brutality, and then when she starts escaping, everything starts going really fast, and then when you have the realization of where she's been, I feel like the movie had a lot of promise, and that last part was rushed, and that the ending was almost an afterthought. Like it didn't all come together like I would have hoped, and it almost feels like a letdown. So after I watched the movie, I did read some reviews, and it's getting a lot of negative reviews, really, really low rating. I don't remember what the ratings were. It was like a 4 or something, or like low to middle rating. So there was one, I wrote here that the reviews have been negative, and I somewhat agree, but it did hold my interest. However, I thought it would have more meaning or plot. So some of the reviews are saying that it's a shallow film, a gory theme park ride. Why was Veronica the head or like the leader and nobody else would step up? That was kind of confusing. Like, why the other people that were held captive kind of were accepting of what was going on, which on the one hand, they were probably beaten into submission and really just wanted to survive. But then you think, okay, how long have they been there, and why is everybody looking to Eden as a leader? Is it because of her education with American constitutional history somehow? I don't really know. I don't know why people kind of look to her, and then because the woman who hung herself went to her for help. The guy from the beginning who lost his partner was looking to her for help and guidance and leadership. And so that is a good point that one of these reviews brought up, is like, why is she the only one that could have escaped, or why was everybody looking to her instead of finding their own strength and just kind of like rallying together and getting out of the situation, if they realizing that it's modern day and they were all abducted. It's kind of weird how they just accepted what was going on, but then it's like, okay, well, how long have they been there, and like what kind of like psychological trauma have they gone through? Like, how much have they been beaten down to actually just go with it? People were saying that the movie was trying to be like Get Out and it didn't measure up. But for me, I definitely feel like it was missing something. It seemed very unbalanced, like I said with the beginning, how the brutality and yeah, I would just say like the brutality just kind of drug on. And then the end of the movie just felt so fast and forced. It definitely felt unbalanced. It felt like it had a lot of promise. It felt like it had a message that it wanted to give, but it just definitely didn't. It didn't work out, I don't think. I don't think it really came across. So that is it for my review. Let me know if you watched the movie and if you would agree with my review or what your review would be. And if you like my video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more videos, because I've got more movie reviews in the works. I enjoy these types of videos, so if you do too, then stick around and I'd like to have you. Thanks for watching.